The night shift at Earth's orbital port 7 was usually quiet, just the way Tom Walker liked it. The soft hum of cargo processors and the occasional beep of scanning equipment kept him company as he made his routine checks. At 42, with graying hair and worn hands, Tom had spent 15 years maintaining this section of humanity's busiest spaceport. He knew every creaking panel and every flickering light. Tonight was different. The difference started with a sound, a quiet whimper that didn't belong among the mechanical noises he knew so well. Tom stopped his work, wrench held loose in his hand. Through the dim lighting of the cargo bay, he watched his breath form small clouds in the unusually cold air. The whimper came again, from somewhere behind the stack of containers marked with alien script. "Hello," he called out, keeping his voice gentle. "Is someone there?" The only response was silence, but Tom's maintenance scanner picked up an unusual heat signature. Following protocol, he should call security immediately. Any unauthorized presence in the cargo area could be dangerous, especially with the recent tensions between Earth and the outer colonies. But something made him hesitate. The heat signature was small, too small for an adult of any known species. Moving slowly, Tom walked around the cargo containers. His old boots made soft thuds against the metal floor, and he tried to appear as non-threatening as possible. As he turned the corner of a large blue container, he saw it, a faint glow coming from behind a stack of empty crates. "It's okay," he said softly. "I won't hurt you." A shuffle, then two large eyes peered out from the darkness. They were unlike anything Tom had ever seen, and he'd seen his share of aliens in his years at the port. The eyes were entirely silver, with no pupils, yet they held an unmistakable expression of fear. They belonged to a child, barely the size of a human 5-year-old. The alien child's skin was a soft blue color, covered in intricate patterns that seemed to shimmer like starlight. She, Tom somehow knew it was a she, wore what looked like once fine clothes, now dirty and torn. She was curled up in a protective ball, trembling. "Are you lost?" Tom asked, though he knew she probably couldn't understand English. He slowly reached into his pocket and pulled out his lunch, a simple sandwich. The child's eyes followed his movement, and he heard a small rumbling sound that he guessed was her stomach. Tom unwrapped the sandwich and broke off a small piece, offering it while staying where he was. The child's eyes darted between his face and the food. After a long moment, she reached out with a thin arm. Her hand had only 4 fingers, each tipped with a soft, glowing point. As she took the food, Tom noticed bruises on her arms. Someone had hurt her, and recently. His heart clenched. He'd always wanted children of his own, but life had never worked out that way. Now looking at this frightened alien child, all his protective instincts flared to life. A sudden noise from the main corridor made the child flinch. Tom heard voices. The night security patrol was making their rounds. In 10 minutes, they would reach this section. If they found an unauthorized alien, especially a child, she would be taken into custody. Best case, she'd end up in an immigrant detention center. Worst case, if she was connected to any of the hostile species Earth was currently worried about, she'd face a much darker fate. Tom made a decision that would change both their lives forever. He took off his maintenance jacket and held it out to her. "Would you like to come with me?" he asked, knowing she couldn't understand the words but hoping she would understand his intent. "I can help you. Keep you safe." The child looked at him, then at the jacket, then back at the direction of the voices. Slowly, she reached out and took the jacket. When Tom carefully picked her up, she didn't resist. She was surprisingly light, and her skin gave off a faint warmth. As Tom carried her toward the maintenance exit he rarely used, he felt her slowly relax against his chest. He didn't know who she was or where she came from, but he knew one thing: he would protect her, no matter what. What he couldn't know was that this simple act of kindness would soon have consequences that would ripple across the galaxy. Getting the alien child out of the spaceport turned out to be easier than Tom expected. His old maintenance truck, with its cluttered back compartment, provided the perfect hiding spot. As they drove through the nighttime streets of New Seattle, Tom kept checking his rearview mirror, expecting to see flashing lights at any moment. The child remained quiet, watching the city lights through a gap in the boxes. Her silver eyes reflected the passing neon signs, making them look like tiny galaxies. Tom's apartment wasn't much, a small two-bedroom unit on the 20th floor of an aging building. But it was home, and more importantly, it was safe. As he carried the child inside, she looked around with obvious curiosity. Her silvery markings glowed softly in the darkness until he turned on the lights. "Hungry?" Tom asked, heading to the kitchen. The child followed, her movements almost silent. When he opened the refrigerator, she jumped back, startled by the light and cold air. Tom couldn't help but smile. He warmed up some soup, something simple and hopefully safe for alien digestion. The child watched every movement, especially fascinated by the microwave. When he placed the bowl in front of her, she didn't touch it until she saw him eat from his own bowl first. "You need a name," Tom said, watching her carefully sip the soup. "I can't just call you kid forever." The child looked up at him, and suddenly Tom felt a gentle touch in his mind. It wasn't words exactly, more like feelings and images. She showed him a night sky full of stars, then touched her own glowing markings. "Star," Tom suggested. "Would you like that for a name?" The child's markings brightened, and she nodded. Tom felt a warm feeling of acceptance in his mind. Somehow, she could communicate through thoughts and feelings, even if she couldn't speak English. The next morning, Tom called in sick for the first time in 5 years. He had a friend, Bill, who worked in the alien registration office, someone who owed him a favor after Tom helped fix his ship's engine last year. "You want me to do what?" Bill's voice was skeptical over the secure line. "I need papers for a juvenile blue star species," Tom said, using the official term for aliens with similar features to star. "Make it look like a proper adoption from one of the outer colonies." "Tom, that's not just breaking protocol. That's illegal. If they catch us." "Bill, please." She was abandoned, hurt. "You know what happens to unauthorized aliens in the system." There was a long pause. "Give me 3 days," Bill finally said. "And Tom, be careful." While they waited for the papers, Tom learned more about Star. She was incredibly smart, picking up basic words quickly. She could make the lights flicker just by thinking about it, and small cuts on her hands healed within hours. But she was also just a child. She loved watching cartoons, was fascinated by Tom's old robot toys, and fell asleep curled up like a cat in the sunlight. When the papers arrived, they were perfect. According to the documents, Star was a legally adopted orphan from Colony 7, one of the few places where blue star species were common. Tom was now officially her guardian. That night, as Tom tucked Star into bed in the spare room, he quickly converted for her. She touched his mind again. He saw images of people who looked like her, but their faces were scary, angry. Then he saw himself and felt waves of safety and trust. "Don't worry," Tom said, gently patting her hand. "You're home now." What he didn't notice was how the pattern of Star's markings had changed slightly, forming a subtle design that, to those who knew what to look for, marked her as something far more important than a simple refugee. 3 years passed quickly. Star grew faster than human children, already looking like a young teenager despite being on Earth for such a short time. Tom had his hands full trying to keep her unique abilities hidden from their neighbors and her teachers at the special school for alien children. "Star, your markings are glowing again," Tom whispered during one parent-teacher meeting. Star quickly concentrated, and the silvery patterns on her skin dimmed. Her teacher, Mrs. Brown, was too busy looking at Star's perfect test scores to notice. "She's extremely gifted," Mrs. Brown said, showing Tom a tablet full of Star's work, especially in sciences and mathematics. "But I'm concerned about her episodes." Tom knew what she meant. Last week, Star had gotten upset during a game of basketball when another kid pushed her. Every electronic device in the gym had sparked and shut down at once. Thankfully, everyone blamed it on faulty wiring. "She's just adjusting," Tom said carefully. "You know how it is with adopted children." But they both knew Star was different. Even among the other alien children, she stood out. She could solve complex equations in seconds, heal from injuries overnight, and sometimes objects would move around her when she was emotional. Tom had taught her to control these abilities, but it wasn't easy. At home, things were both better and worse. Star now spoke perfect English, though she preferred their mental connection for private conversations. She had decorated her room with star charts and pictures of distant galaxies, and she helped Tom fix broken machines with an ease that amazed him. But lately, something was wrong. Star was having nightmares that made all the lights in the apartment flicker. She would wake up crying, speaking words in an alien language Tom didn't understand. "What's wrong, kiddo?" Tom asked one night after another nightmare. "You can tell me anything, you know that." Star hugged her knees to her chest, her markings pulsing with a dim blue light. "I keep seeing them, Dad. The bad people who were chasing me. I think they're getting closer." Tom looked out their apartment window at the night sky. More and more strange ships had been appearing in Earth's orbit lately. The news said they were just trading vessels, but they moved in patterns, like they were searching for something. "No one will hurt you," Tom promised. "We'll figure this out together." But the next day at work, Tom noticed something that made his heart skip a beat. The cargo manifests showed unusual activity. Ships from a distant system called the Stellar Collective were requesting permission to search various Earth ports. They claimed to be looking for dangerous criminals, but their search patterns centered around areas where families with alien children lived. That evening, as Tom drove home, he noticed a sleek black vehicle following his truck. It was too clean, too new to be from Earth. His hands tightened on the steering wheel as he took a longer route home, using back streets until he was sure he'd lost them. When he got home, Star was waiting by the door, her face worried. "They're here, aren't they?" she asked. "Who's here, Star?" She touched his mind, showing him images of tall, elegant beings with the same blue skin and silver markings as her, but their faces were cold and cruel. "The ones who want to hurt me. The ones I've been hiding from." Tom pulled her into a hug, feeling her trembling. "Why are they looking for you, Star? What aren't you telling me?" Star pulled back, her silver eyes filled with tears. "Because," she whispered, her markings suddenly blazing with light, "I'm not just any refugee. I'm their princess, and they want me dead." High above Earth, more ships were appearing, their designs unlike anything humans had seen before. The search was intensifying, and time was running out. Tom sat at their kitchen table, trying to process what Star had just told him. His adopted daughter, his little girl who loved strawberry ice cream and old science fiction movies, was actually an alien princess. The glowing patterns on her skin now formed complex designs he'd never noticed before, making her look suddenly regal and ancient. "Show me everything," Tom said quietly. "I need to understand." Star placed her small blue hand on his. Through their mental connection, images flooded Tom's mind. He saw a beautiful crystal city floating among the stars. He saw Star as a very young child, wearing elaborate robes, surrounded by beings like her. Her mother, the queen, had the same silver eyes but wore a crown of living light. Then the beautiful images turned dark. There was fire, betrayal, screaming. Star's mother fighting against shadowy figures, while loyal guards rushed the young princess to safety. A desperate flight across the galaxy, ending with Star being hidden on Earth. "My mother," Star's voice trembled. "She knew they would come for me. The royal guard who hid me here. They wiped most of my memories to protect me. But now they're coming back. All of it's coming back." Outside their apartment window, strange lights moved across the night sky. More ships were arriving. "There are two groups searching for me," Star explained, her markings pulsing with anxiety. "The loyal ones who serve my mother, and the traitors who want our whole family dead." but I can't tell which ships belong to which side. Tom got up and began pacing. His mind raced with questions. Why now? Why after 3 years? Star's eyes followed him. Because in 3 days, I turn 14 in Earth years. In my people's culture, that's the age of ascension, when a royal child's full powers emerge. The traitors want to kill me before that happens. As if to prove her point, Star's hands began to glow with intense silver light. A cup on the table floated into the air, then gently set itself down. My abilities, they're getting stronger every day. Soon, I won't be able to hide them. Tom watched as more lights appeared in the sky. Some of the ships were now low enough that he could see their strange, crystalline designs. Earth's defensive systems hadn't stopped them, which meant they had permission to be here. Your mother, Tom said slowly, is she? Star's eyes filled with tears. I don't know. The memories are still confused. But I feel like she's alive. Somewhere. Fighting. A sudden bang on their apartment door made them both jump. Through the peephole, Tom saw 2 tall figures in dark suits. They looked human, but their movements were too smooth, too perfect. Back door, Tom whispered. Get your emergency bag. They had practiced this. Star ran to her room while Tom grabbed his own pre-packed bag. They had planned escape routes after Star's first nightmare, never really believing they'd need them. Now Tom was grateful for his paranoia. As they slipped out the back door and down the fire escape, Tom heard their apartment door being broken down. Star's hand gripped his tightly as they ran through dark alleys, avoiding the main streets where more strange figures were appearing. Dad, Star said as they ran, I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner. I was afraid. Afraid you wouldn't want me if you knew the truth. Tom squeezed her hand. You're my daughter, Star. Princess or not, that won't ever change. They reached Tom's old maintenance truck, just as a bright light illuminated the street behind them. A voice spoke in an alien language that Star seemed to understand, her markings flaring in response. They're calling me by my real name, she whispered. They're saying it's time to come home. Tom started the truck. Well, they'll have to talk to your Earth dad first. Tom's old truck raced through the empty streets of New Seattle's industrial district. Star sat beside him, her markings glowing brighter than ever as she sensed their pursuers. 3 sleek black vehicles followed them, floating slightly above the road. Can you tell if they're the good guys or the bad guys? Tom asked, taking the sharp turn down an alley he knew from his maintenance routes. Star closed her silver eyes, concentrating. They're both. The front car is loyal to my mother. The other 2 are with the traitors. They're all chasing each other and us. A bright beam of light shot past their truck, leaving a scorch mark on a nearby wall. Tom swerved hard, using his knowledge of the port's back roads to stay ahead. Star, Tom said as they drove deeper into the maze of warehouses, you need to make a choice. We can try to reach the loyal guards, your people, or we can keep running. Whatever you decide, I'm with you. Star's face showed the battle happening inside her. If I go with the loyal guards, I'll have to leave Earth. Leave you. But if I don't, she looked up at the sky where more ships were gathering. They'll never stop hunting me, and Earth might get hurt because of me. Another energy beam lit up the night, this time from the first car, striking one of their pursuers. The black vehicle spun out of control and crashed. Tom pulled the truck into an empty warehouse he used to maintain. They had a few minutes while their pursuers searched nearby buildings. In the quiet darkness, Star's markings cast a soft glow over them. Show me again, Tom said gently. Show me your home. Star touched his hand, and once more Tom saw the crystal city among the stars. But this time, he saw more. Millions of beings looking to the royal family for leadership, ancient traditions of peace and wisdom, and a civilization that spanned galaxies. He saw the weight of responsibility on Star's small shoulders. Your people need you, Tom said, his heart heavy but his voice firm. And you're ready. You're the smartest, kindest person I know, human or alien. You'll be a great leader." Tears rolled down Star's cheeks, glowing like tiny stars. "But I need you too. You're my dad. You taught me what real leadership means. Protecting people, being kind, doing what's right even when it's hard." Suddenly, the warehouse doors burst open. 3 tall figures entered, 1 in white robes, 2 in black. Star's markings flared in recognition. "Princess," the one in white said in perfect English, bowing deeply. "I am Captain Lee of your royal guard. We finally found you. Your mother, the queen, lives, but our people need their princess." The 2 in black raised strange weapons. "The old royal line must end," one hissed. "The Stellar Collective needs new leadership." Star stood up straight, her royal heritage showing in every movement. The air around her crackled with energy as her powers grew stronger. "I am not just your princess," she said, her voice carrying a new authority. "I am also a daughter of Earth, and I choose." She looked at Tom, then at the guards, then at the usurpers. In that moment, she seemed to grow taller, more regal. Tom saw the queen she would become. "I choose both," Star declared. "I will return to help lead my people, but Earth will be under my protection. And my father, my Earth father, comes with me as an ambassador." The energy in the room intensified as Star's powers rose to protect them all. The usurpers' weapons floated out of their hands, disassembling in midair. After all, Star smiled, looking at Tom. "Earth is part of my kingdom now too." News spread fast in a spaceport city. Within hours of the warehouse confrontation, more ships from the rebel faction appeared in Earth's orbit. Their message was simple and brutal: hand over the princess, or they would destroy New Seattle. Tom stood with Star in the spaceport's main control room, watching as the enemy ships took position. Military leaders argued about what to do, while politicians demanded answers about the alien princess who had been hiding on Earth. "We should give her to them," one official said. "We can't risk our city for one alien child." Tom stepped forward, his voice firm. "She's not just any child. She's my daughter. And she's as much a citizen of Earth as any of us." Suddenly, Bill from the Alien Registration Office spoke up. "Tom helped me when no one else would. Now, I'm standing with him." He moved to stand beside Tom and Star. Mrs. Brown, Star's teacher, stepped forward next. "Star helped my daughter learn math when everyone else had given up. She's one of us." She joined them too. One by one, people stepped forward. Tom's coworkers from the maintenance department, neighbors from their apartment building, even the owner of the ice cream shop where Star loved to get strawberry cones. Each had a story about how Star had touched their lives with kindness. "See that?" Tom said to the officials. "That's humanity. We protect our own." The rebel ship started firing warning shots, creating bright flashes in the sky. But instead of causing panic, it made more humans step up. Earth's defense forces mobilized. But they weren't alone. Local ships, maintenance vehicles, cargo haulers, even private spacecraft began launching. They formed a protective barrier around the city, piloted by ordinary people refusing to let their home be threatened. Star watched in amazement as humans, who had no special powers or advanced technology, risked everything to protect her. Through their mental connection, Tom felt her awe and love for her adopted world. The rebel commander's face appeared on the main screen, twisted with anger. "This is your last warning. Give us the princess, or we will destroy everything." Star stepped forward, her markings blazing with light. But before she could speak, something amazing happened. Hundreds of small ships appeared from hyperspace, Earth's merchant fleet, cargo ships, and private vessels, all returning from their routes to defend their home. "You'll have to destroy us all," called out a cargo pilot over the comm. "And we're not easy to destroy." More voices joined in, ships broadcasting from all around Earth. "New Seattle stands with the princess. Earth protects its children. Try to get through us first." The rebel commander's face showed shock. He had expected to find a primitive world, easy to intimidate. Instead, he found humanity. Stubborn, protective, and absolutely unwilling to abandon one of their own. Star's powers were growing stronger by the minute. She raised her hands, and suddenly every human ship glowed with a protective silver light, her power joining with their courage. "I am Princess Star of the Stellar Collective," she announced, her voice carrying to all ships. "But I am also Star Walker of Earth, and you're threatening my home." The rebel ships fired, but their weapons couldn't penetrate the combined shield of Star's power and humanity's determination. Their blasts bounced harmlessly away. Then, from behind Earth's moon, the Queen's loyal fleet appeared, hundreds of crystal ships joining the human defenders. The rebels found themselves surrounded by the largest combined fleet they had ever seen. "You see," Tom said proudly, watching humans and aliens fighting side by side. "This is what family means on Earth. We stick together." Star squeezed his hand, her silver eyes shining. "We sure do, Dad. We sure do." 1 year after the Battle of New Seattle, Tom adjusted his Earth Ambassador uniform as he walked through the crystal halls of the Stellar Palace. The same corridors that Star had shown him in her memories were now as familiar to him as his old maintenance routes. Star, now officially Princess Luminara Starwalker of the Stellar Collective, was holding her first public court as acting regent. Her mother, the Queen, was recovering from injuries sustained during the rebellion, but would proudly watch her daughter's first official duties. "Ready, Dad?" Star asked, meeting him outside the Grand Hall. She had grown taller, her blue skin and silver markings more radiant than ever, but she still had the same kind smile that Tom remembered from their first meeting in the cargo bay. "Ready as I'll ever be, kiddo," Tom replied, straightening her crystal crown. It was their private joke. No matter how royal she became, she'd always be his kiddo. The Grand Hall was filled with beings from across the galaxy. The defeat of the rebels had opened new opportunities for peace and cooperation. But what really caught everyone's attention was the large number of humans present. After humanity's stand at New Seattle, attitudes throughout the galaxy had changed. Humans were no longer seen as primitive newcomers, but as valuable allies known for their loyalty, courage, and determination. Star took her place on the crystal throne, Tom standing proudly at her right side as Earth's ambassador. The Queen sat on a smaller throne nearby, smiling at her daughter. "My first decree," Star announced, her voice carrying clearly through the hall, "is to officially recognize Earth as a sister capital of the Stellar Collective." Cheers erupted from the human delegation. Tom saw Bill from the Alien Registration Office wiping away tears of joy. Mrs. Brown was there too, already making plans for an intergalactic student exchange program. "My second decree," Star continued, "is to establish the Walker Initiative." Tom looked at her in surprise. She hadn't told him about this. "Named after my Earth father," Star explained, smiling at Tom. "This initiative will create homes across the galaxy for displaced children of any species. Because family isn't about where you're from. It's about who loves you and who you choose to love in return." The hall erupted in applause. Tom felt his eyes getting wet. 3 years ago, he had been a lonely maintenance worker who made a choice to help a scared child. Now that choice had changed the galaxy. After the ceremony, Star and Tom walked in the palace gardens. The Earth plants mixed beautifully with alien flowers, just like their two civilizations were learning to blend together. "You know," Star said, touching a rose with gentle fingers, "I never told you why I trusted you that first night in the cargo bay." "Why's that?" Tom asked. "Because when you found me, you didn't see a princess, or an alien, or even a refugee. You just saw a child who needed help. That's humanity's real strength. You see people as people, no matter what they look like or where they're from." Tom watched as a group of children, human and alien, played together in the garden. Among them was a small blue-skinned child, recently rescued from another conflict zone, wearing Earth-style clothes and playing with a toy spaceship. "We did good, didn't we?" Tom said softly. Star hugged him, her markings glowing with happiness. "We did great, Dad, and we're just getting started." Above them, ships from Earth and the Stellar Collective moved peacefully through the stars. In New Seattle, the spaceport had doubled in size, becoming a symbol of interstellar cooperation. And in a small apartment that Tom kept as his Earth home, a child's drawing still hung on the refrigerator. A blue-skinned girl holding hands with a human man, stars twinkling all around them. Sometimes the biggest changes in the universe start with the smallest acts of kindness, and sometimes the strongest bonds in the galaxy are formed not by treaties or powers, but by the simple love between a father and his daughter.